Zissing Pesach, my friends. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon. I am the founder of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York, and I am delighted to spend this Passover Shabbos with you, as well as with a guest who is with us in the neighborhood. This is a man who started, you can see from his face, he started as an actor and then kind of morphed into a playwright, director, and a teacher. He's had several shows that he's written and directed, performed at Theater for the New City, downtown in New York, including the Open Gate a few years back and the hybrid, I want to hear about this, the hybrid show Existence, and he has done shows adapting everyone from Charles Dickens to Isaac Bashevis Singer, from an anti-Semite to a Semite. Beautiful. He has also specialized in Jewish subjects, and he is a professor of theater at City College of New York. And most importantly, for the moment, he has a new show that's going to be opening at Theater for the New City on May 9th. It's called Bring Them Back. And we're going to talk to him all about that. Won't you welcome to the neighborhood, shalom, to David Willinger. Shalom, David. Oh, wait, you got to unmute. You got to unmute your microphone. We can't hear a word you're saying.
Shalom, Rebbe.
There you go. Oh, shalom to you.
Ma shlomecha?
Wow. How do you know? So you're a serious Jew person. Is Willinger what your family had at Ellis Island? Was it shortened from Willingerowitz or something, or what?
No, I think it was just pronounced differently. Willinger.
So, are you Jew or G? By the way.
Good. Oh, me, I'm Jew. That was my grandparents' choice, I guess. But I've stuck with it. But they were, I'm sure, Willinger at Ellis Island, and it sounded British enough to keep.
They were ready and willing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So, when I first saw the title of your play, the new one,
you thought it was something else. You thought it was something else.
I mean, the timing of it, I'm sure you wrote it like 2 years ago or something, but the timing of Bring Them Back, I'm like, yes, goddammit, the hostages, get them the fuck out of where they are, kill Hamas, burn Gaza, yes, but no, it has nothing at all, unfortunately, to do with any of that. What is Bring Them Back about?
Well, I really finished the first draft of it around October 5th last year. So
it is recent, yeah.
It's recent, but I could have brought that other subject into it in some way, but that wouldn't have been honest. It was basically done at that point. So who we're bringing back? It could be the dead hostages, but not the living ones.
It's a comedy, a fun show.
It's a fun show about. Well, it is if it could happen that the dead would come back.
Alalai. Jerry Garcia first, and then maybe Robert Hunter. So that would be it.
Well, we want certain people and not others, and that's part of the issue in the play. That sometimes if we start bringing them back, you get people you don't want. But that there's some comedy, right? Potentially.
It's not a Kabbalah kind of thing, but what is who are you bringing back in, and what is it about there?
Well, it really starts with the Amidah, which you may be familiar with, and
5 times this morning already. I can never get it right. Yes.
Did you? You're keeping me from doing it.
We can do it together. Come on. Let me hear.
Baruch atah Adonai. All right, I think we might do a different version. I have a different melody, maybe.
Oh, go ahead. Let me hear yours.
Well, you know it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Eloheinu v'emotenu ve'avoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov. You don't know that one?
I do, but I love it. While you're singing, there's this woman behind you walking and just kind of looking like, who is this person doing Jewish prayers on the internet?
Right. And believe it or not, a shiksa.
Oh, well, we'll forgive her. Yeah.
Thank you, Rabbi. Well, if you forgive me, then it's okay.
Unless she's anti-Semitic, in which case.
No. She's very interested. No, she's my wife. That's Peggy.
Oh, mit mazel. Shalom, Peggy. What's her Hebrew name?
She makes a mean latke.
Oh, really? This is I'm making angry latke.
What do you mean with hot pepper?
There you go. Exactly. Or anybody I serve my food to gets angry. So it's just,
Oh no.
so
Well, in any case, so
who's
he
bringing
in
what back?
the Amidah, as you know, he says "V'chaye hametim,"
Back the
and
dead. Yeah.
he brings the dead back to life. That is an attribute. That's how I understand it of the Almighty, and perhaps in former times, maybe it's referring to specific Bible stories uh, that were brought back to life. Um, but so Paul says this over and over, as we all do, those who practice, and he who is so bereft and destitute because more people he knows have died than are living at this point in his life, um, is very frustrated with God. And
Who isn't? Yeah. All right. Yeah.
listen, but about this specifically, that he is living in isolation following COVID. He's never come back from isolation. He's still there, and he turns over and over and over in his head all those he's lost: friends, family, cats, everything, everybody, and there's no recourse. It's one of
We've
those
lost
things.
Cats and Phantom of the Opera. Fairly recently at the same time. It's
And Mrs. Katz upstairs, maybe. But anyway, so it's a very bad situation for him since he's obsessed with this issue, and so he has taken to the Kabbalah, and he's found in Aryeh Kaplan's book on the Kabbalah toward the end. Do you know? Do you know it?
no, I do not know.
Oh
I
my
don't know
God!
anything. I'm barely Jewish myself. I just play one on TV.
And the payas? What is the payas?
And this is ear hair.
Anyway, so I'll, for one thing, I don't believe you, but that's all right. So he takes to this recipe from Aryeh Kaplan for raising the dead,
Oh yeah, and so
and he's it's a losing proposition because you have to do it for 35 hours. These rituals, I, o, with the consonants
this is
from
like
the.
acting vocal warm-ups. What the?
They're right in there. Well, it wasn't me who invented it. It was
Ma
Abelard.
me mi mo mu acha locha boy. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
But the syllables, the consonants from the forbidden name of God, and in all different in Kabbalistic fashion, all different combinations with the vowels, the Hebrew vowels,
Yeah, no.
and
Some people say I should have it my way. I say no, have it Yahweh.
oh, he said it. Okay, on the Sabbath too. Anyway, so what's going to happen on Yom Kippur? I'd ask you, Rabbi. Now that you did that. Anyway, never mind. Never mind. So he's doing this, and it's supposed to take 36 hours, but he keeps making mistakes. He keeps losing the recipe, having to start over because if you make a mistake or you put a pause in, you have to start over with this 36-hour ritual. And anyway, in the middle of it, his old friend Trudy comes into his apartment. She has his key, and she's gonna, she gets into the kitchen, starts, making hummus, and somebody's gonna visit us in a second. Look at this.
Oh, right. Oh, hello there. Oh,
Khatul.
what a cute, what an adorable pussy you have. And you have a cat, which is good. So yes.
And so she starts making noise in the kitchen and he can't concentrate, and so the whole thing's interrupted and he starts getting into an argument with her, and meanwhile what happens? The dead start coming back.
Now, famous celebrity dead or dead from his life that are problematic? Yeah.
From his life, that is to say, they come back in affinity groups, starting with I'm giving away everything. They start starting with.
But yeah.
It's okay, but starting with because telling about it is really it gives nothing away because it's a very theatrical experience that one has to have firsthand. And so first his family members, and I think what he wants to do with each of these groups is to finish things off that were left unfinished. Call the aunts he hadn't called, say he loved whomever, get so and so to love each other. All these, yearnings that since they died were impossible.
Let me ask you a quick question. when they're brought back, is it a permanent thing or they have a day?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. In other words, the theatrical form this takes is there are two live actors, which is Paul.
Gag actors? What, huh? No, what do you mean?
Well, in the show, there are only two live actors. There's Paul, who's doing the rituals, and Trudy, his old family friend, and all the dead appear on video.
Oh, oh.
So they never really get beyond video existence. One hopes that they would step out of the screen or that he could go into the screen, but that proves futile. And so they come back in a half existence. That's really what happens.
Okay. But are they there permanently or just for the moment that he can say hi to them and tell them he loves them, but then they gotta go, all right, you know.
Well, in different groups, different things happen. That's part of the drama. That with the family, it's the same old dysfunctional family. You know, it's like he really can't make a dent in this mess. And with his friends, he could say that he loves them and beg them to come back and take the next step,
Yeah.
Sante. And but they don't do it. They oh, there's B. And
There you go.
you are. I'm
So
sure you are. I'm sure you are. And with the lovers, you can imagine what he tries to do. Um, but
I can, but I can't say that on television. Yes.
but and you can also imagine how it ultimately goes, and so on. So there's drama in these eventualities, and this hope that this time maybe the group will stay. Except the one where he makes the most impact is with his enemies. There's a group of enemies,
All right.
and to be perfectly honest, they are able to apologize and say they love each other.
Oh, well, there you go. Unlike real life, in which we
Except you said I'm an academic, right? You said I'm a professor at City College, and so the one person he can't forgive is the dean of humanities and arts. That's impossible. That person's unforgivable, and he goes back to hell where he was staying the whole time.
Let me ask you: when you've written a lot of, you've been a professor for a bunch of years. Have students ever come to your shows and thought, "Oh my God, that's me"? You can use their name, of course, but did they sort of see themselves? Because you wrote one that involved young people and students and college
Well,
kids. Yeah.
no, I don't know. I wrote one about COVID actually. But most of the time it's not about them. No. It's I always try when I can to use former students as actors. As my whole crew is my former students. In this case, unfortunately, it's a two-person show, so I the casting precluded it. But I'm so in awe of them and love working with them and never wanted to stop. They graduate. What can I do? And but many of them are actually in the videos, and so come see them. That's a treat.
And by the way, speaking of students in video, and I think this is wonderful. You made a movie about a decade ago where
Oh, that was about them.
Yeah.
That was about them. You know,
So
you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah,
wasn't
that
that
was
above
that.
and beyond? I mean, you just have to teach a couple of classes and publish a paper here and there. You went and made a full-length, feature-length movie thing with the students. Tell us about this thing.
Well, I love cinema, and I didn't train in cinema. I'm a theater person and been a theater person since I was 13. So, but I love movies, and it was a dream to make a movie. And at some point in my life, I got this little inheritance, and I said, okay, what'll I do with that? I'm not going to save it. I'm not going to buy a house. I'm going to make a movie.
We could have
And
donated it to my shul. We could have. Yes, we still could. Did you have anything left over, or did you piss it all the way on theater?
if the movie, which was budgeted at exactly the amount that I inherited, cost twice as much. That's what happened. So nothing's left over for anybody's shuls, unfortunately. It put me, for the first time in my life, in debt.
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry for that. I'm asking, and this was long enough ago though, that you would have shot on video. You wouldn't have been using like 16 millimeter or 35 millimeter. So it wouldn't have been that expensive for that, or editing equipment you could have done. Was it craft services? What cost?
It was I knew so little about filmmaking that I really thought I had to hire a professional crew to really do it properly. I didn't, do a handheld, cell phone or something. And so that's really what it cost. It was quite costly for the crew and all that stuff.
It was just
Um,
a full length movie. You're not
and a
going to do a
full
full
length
length movie
movie.
for $4,000. It's just not going to happen.
But lighting and sound equipment, the real thing. And so it cost a pretty penny. It was worth every penny. It was so exciting to make. And but in the middle of it, because even though it cost for me relatively a lot of money, one of the people who oops, one of the people, the cat just knocked over all the cat dishes. One of the people who held up the lights turned to me and said, it's impossible to make a low budget, large cast movie. It can't be done. And he was telling me, don't expect this ever to come to fruition. And, but he was wrong.
It was
Uh,
wrong. Got it done. This is good. I wish I could. Is there a place that people can see it, though?
it played in movie theaters. Anyone who's interested, really, I'll send them a video. I'll send them a DVD.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, please, because yeah.
Actually, since you mention it, it's been so long. I should just post it on YouTube. I really, why
Get
not?
it up there so people can watch it. So people can. If it's not in festivals now, it's not in movie theaters now. It's just lying in your, on your hard drive. So
See that? Already good things have come out of this podcast.
yeah. Now you can also charge a fee. Now I'm Jewish, so I'm thinking, hey, just send me $1 on my Zelle. Then, I'll give you the special director's cut, which is 6.5 hours long before I actually trim things down. There's no music, but you can hear me breathing in the background while I'm editing. This, $1.50. Send them. Just a thought. Just a thought. So, but let me ask you. You said since 13, you have been a theater guy. Was that when you went to that theater camp? And it kind of exploded.
It wasn't a camp. It was actually a professional theater, a professional summer theater in Mayapack that my acting teacher at that time and her family, who were all highly professional people, had set up, and it was in an old barn theater. And there was a season of 5 amazing plays, and some of her students were apprentices. So we ran the concession stand and we cleaned the seats and ran props or whatever. And there was not a little, it was actually a large children's theater company that we acted in during, the daytime. And I almost got into one of the adult shows, but it didn't happen. But it was.
I almost got into an adult show one time too, but then my wife saw me going in and said, "You're not safe. They're doing things to each other that I won't even do to you." No, and she.
I think they must have torn that neighborhood down before you got a chance. Anyway,
it's unfortunate. It's sad, isn't it?
I'm sorry. Maybe in the next slide. But anyway, so it was a revelation to be part of that experience, and I helped the leads learn their lines. To me, that was the greatest privilege in the world, and I was hooked at that point. I was just hooked.
Were there any famous people that summer, like anybody that you helped learn lines who turned out to, or wasn't famous then but became?
Well, there was one celebrity who came up to act in the play by Gene Kerr, Mary Mary, and he wasn't. He's nobody you've heard of, but he was famous at the time. He was a star in a daytime a soap opera. His name was Ernest Graves, and he came up in a limousine to Mayapack, and a wonderful man, very sweet, kind man. It turned out that was part of the the magic of it all.
So
and
there you are. You're 13 still. A bar mitzvah boy. You had this experience. And now you have to go back to regular junior high school and high school and stuff. So what did you do in those years that took you further down the entertainment and theater trajectory, if you will?
Well, I basically everything through. I'm going to name her. Her name is Miranda McDermott. She was my acting teacher. She's still alive, and we're still good friends. And which is in itself Hanes. And wonderful.
Oh, Agnes Gadol, that's right. Yes.
Baruch Hashem. Anyway, so she and her husband Franklin Engel, who I'll also mention, made many occasions that I participated in thereafter. For example, they did a season of plays in the summer at the Provincetown Playhouse, which now barely exists, I believe. But at that time, it was the great historical theater in the West Village, where Eugene O'Neill had done his shows, and we did a season of plays there. There was another theater. See, all the theaters I worked in don't exist anymore. The Mercer Art Center. I don't know if you remember that. It was on Mercer Street near NYU, and it was a huge new art center with many theaters in it. It was a multiplex live theater place in the early 70s. And and we did plays there. We were at the first, I'm going to forget the name of the theater, Manhattan Theater Club,
Oh,
the very, very early Manhattan Theater Club. We
yeah.
did a show there. So I was at, prestigious theaters. The Mercer Arts Center, by the way, fell down, literally collapsed one day. That's why it isn't there.
Oops. Oops.
A New York story, bad
No,
engine.
because the host of his program, the producer, Dave Lefkowitz, he's an NYU alum from the 1980s. And he knew Mercer Street, but the Mercer Arts Center did not seem familiar to him at all. Provincetown Playhouse, for sure, absolutely. And that area, and the Vineyard Theater up on 17th and other places. But Mercer Arts, no. So that's why he's kind of like, eh.
Well, many prestigious things happened there, and I mean, just one thing I know that Richard Foreman did a show there because he was there simultaneously to us.
Let's stop right. Richard Foreman, I'm sure he's a very nice guy, certainly a Jewish guy with a lot of Jewish totemic things. Cannot stand his work. You, however, you go avant-garde-ish sometimes. Were you tremendously influenced by him?
I'm inspired by him. Let's put it that way. I feel very differently about him. I can't kiss the hem of his garment. I'm so far beneath his extraordinary originality. It's theater I admire and love, but I somehow don't ever get that abstract.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there, and basically, as you're falling asleep, he has a loud noise that wakes you up. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. I'm already deaf in this ear. I need somebody hanging a drum, every 10 minutes to make sure I'm not falling asleep. Fuck you.
Well, I actually take that particular principle to heart. I mean, who invented that was Beckett. He said you have to have some kind of loud noise halfway through it because his plays are very, sleep inducing as well, and and he insists on having loud noises 2/3 of the way through.
So wait, what the hell happens? Oh, the guy when Lucky comes back banging the drum. What is that? What he does?
Probably. He starts yelling, or I don't know, but I guess if you look carefully, the door closes, or a tree falls, or something happens that wakes people up.
Well, no, even if I don't know if you probably did. You probably read that book by Jack Viertel about musicals, and he's saying that you need noise, and you need like a noisy opening number for the second act, just to kind of wait for you. You need a big like in Oklahoma, the big dancer in the middle of the first act, somewhere about the 50-60 minute mark, because people are kind of starting to drift, and then it's like, and then get them towards intermission. I mean, the noise I get, but distracting noise when nothing's making any goddamn sense. This is my life. I don't need this in the theater. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're absolutely right. If it's noise, that's where I part company from Richard Foreman. I do it in my play with various household objects, such as blenders or vacuum cleaners, but it's somehow connected to the circumstance of the play, and that's how I come short of Richard Foreman.
Let me ask you another quick question, because you mentioned in your current or the play that will start on May 9th called Bring Them Back, it's going to be most of the cast, the characters are on video screens, but you're not calling this show a hybrid, as opposed to the one called Existence that you did that you say was hybrid. What's the difference?
It is hybrid. It's or mixed media, or whatever term you want to use. It's about half of it actually is on film. And when I timed it. Half of it is the video characters talking to the live characters, and half of it is the live characters talking to each other.
Now let me ask you, speaking of live characters, is that an actual? It hasn't moved. Is that a bird above your head, or just a bird cage above your head? What the hell is that?
that is I focused my camera this way so you would ask about it. It's a bird cage given to me by my friend. I think it must be Chinese, but it was given to me by my friend Mektil Kaliski in Paris. And then inside is unfortunately not a live bird. It's a ceramic, beautiful ceramic multicolored bird. And
Are you doing this just to fuck with your cat? Does the cat wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, breakfast," and then he gets up there and he puts his teeth on something, breaks his teeth because it's ceramic?
Unfortunately, the cats aren't fooled, and there's even effigies of cats around here, and they don't buy it either. They.
Right. I was just curious about it. And yes, the framing, it is an odd framing for someone who does film and theater. I'm like, why is that? But you wanted that thing in there. I get it now. This is interesting. Also,
Decoration.
is so now you're going to college. You're going to college for entertainment, and you knew a 1 in a million shot of becoming not even just a well-known or famous actor, but a paid, steadily working, health benefits person in the entertainment industry. How did you go from being a college graduate to where you are now?
Well, I'm a child of the '60s, so honestly, I never thought about money, and I never thought about. I just wanted to do it. I just loved doing it. If I wasn't paid to do it, I would just keep doing it. That was how I felt.
Don't tell that to anybody. Never ever say that to any producer.
They'll take you at your word.
Yeah, they know you.
I learned that lesson. But anyway, what happened was I was doing those shows I told you about. I went to college. I was in every show there was in college. Then I went out and tried to be an actor. And the story is that I had one connection, which was friends of my family's nephew was a theatrical agent. And after a lot of begging, not on my part, but the older people, he sent me to one casting agent who called me for an audition. And it was to play Joanne Woodward's son in a movie. And I can't remember the name of the movie. It was made. And I walked into the antechamber of this casting agent's office, and there were 30 young men who looked just like me, sitting there waiting for their interview. The call had gone out, the description of and everything, and I said to myself, do I think I'm the most talented person here? Do I even think I'm the fifth most talented? I loved acting, but I sensed that I wasn't such a good actor, and it was because I got so I loved rehearsals, but I got frozen during performances. I just stopped being very loose on stage, and and I was very young too. But I decided that's not for me. I'll spare the audiences, and I'd already in college started directing, so that's how I made that transition. Oh, here's somebody else.
Oh, who's this? Hello, Shalom. Oh, that's a different cat.
That's a different cat.
Thank you for showing us its butthole. That was really a pleasant thing to see it for a breakfast.
Every part of her is delectable. I promise you. Every part is very, very appealing.
Not the tush hole. Even every other part. The tush hole, maybe not so much of pretty much any animal.
Anyway, so yeah.
So you directed, but even there, it's not as if. Have you been able to make a steady living as a director? No.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Not at all. But again, it was, I was blessed with having full-time employment as a teacher, which is, I'm going to say it right here. I shouldn't say this when I'm trying to get people to come to my show. It's the thing I'm best at.
Oh, well, you must get the wonderful reviews and things, and your evals, your teacher evals, and your student evals at the end of the semester, and they're just
I thought you said e-bowels.
I was thinking of the cat. No, evaluations. The student eval. You know the terminology, the lingo, if you will. So what kind of do you teach? Theater history? Do you teach obviously acting, directing? What do you physically?
Well, the truth is, I actually retired 2 years ago, but
I'm sorry. All right.
But for all that time, for 50 years, I taught a variety of things. I was so blessed that I could teach mostly what I wanted in any given semester. I would never teach technical theater or body movement, so they were spared ignorance. But I taught speech for the stage. I taught all kinds of acting, acting the classics, all kinds of acting, theater history, yes, theater history and literature. So I loved doing a variety of things, and I could in that program.
You
And
seem pretty spry, though. Why did you retire?
um, well, to be honest, things have changed since COVID. I mean, it thing things went a little south, and maybe they're starting to recover. Maybe things are coming. I don't know, but it really felt not the same hospitable place that it's felt for the last 40 years. And I think a lot of teachers
University is
are
not
having.
hospitable right now. I wonder. Had nothing to do with fucking COVID, man. There's something else going on right now. But so, but wait, did you teach? I'm wondering, did during the COVID year, did you flip to online? How did you teach all that stuff online?
Well, what happened was a week before COVID hit, we got a notice that this thing might be coming and that some of our courses might have to go online. And we had a department meeting, and I made a motion as a full-time member of the department. This department will never ever do a course online because it's theater. And it passed unanimously. And the week after, I was on Zoom like everybody else.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sorry, but yes, we everything had a pivot. Yeah, of course.
Well, but who could have imagined such a thing would really happen and happen in such a, complete and disastrous and catastrophic way. But anyway, we made the most of it, and it was one of the great adventures, creative adventures of my life, truly, to teach a directing one class online, directing two actually. Part of that class was to do a festival of one act plays. We've always done it. That was my innovation.
But how
And
if they can't get in a room together? What the hell did you do?
that was one of the wonderful, fabulous things we figured out how to do. So if you can imagine a naturalistic play where they're both in the same room. So one was in a real room, the other sent a photo of the other side of their room to the other one who used it as a background, and we would do things like this. Here, would you take this?
I'll take your cup. Yeah, I used to watch Zoom theater during that year and a half break, if you will. I mean, I used to see actors doing
Come
this.
on, come on, come on. We can even hug right now. Come on.
Oh, gotta use a little deodorant there, fella.
It's early in the morning. What do you want?
Or I can understand teaching improv online is like yes and then they go yes and but I'm wondering so you as they did pivot but couldn't you? I also wondered how they teach music because everybody's on a different like 2 second delay thing. I never
My music colleagues were in terrible frustration
yeah.
and body movement. Can you imagine dance? And well, I mean, I have had dance classes online. I take dance classes. So it's all possible in a way, and it's all a little worse. But I mean, this is the thing about theater. Theater is you make the most of whatever you're given. You walk into the theater, the roof fell down, you still do a rehearsal. It doesn't, so that's in my genes, and we just made it work, and it was exciting. And I look back on it as a thrilling, creative time. I fear that the students didn't get a good shake, even so. And I think maybe my
Nobody's
classes.
fault. I mean, it was God. He sent a virus down. For a year and a half, everybody got messed up. It happens, deal.
But I mean, I imagine that. I mean, I would observe other classes, other people's classes, and see the cameras were off.
Oh.
They allowed, and the university said you cannot make a student turn their camera on. You know, how is that education? I mean, these things just, drove me crazy, crazy.
And especially, and it's the one thing. I mean, I know my friend Dave, who really does this program here. He's nuts with people who are taking, shall we say, creative classes with him at a couple of these universities.
And what does he teach? What does he teach?
Physics. He's not teaching chemistry. One of these is a film class, and it was like a history film class, and it's like people are Zoom, on their phones and watching movie. Do you know what it was like to be able when you were in high school and the teacher put on a movie and you didn't have to listen to the lecture for half an hour? It was the most glorious golden thing. It's like Ah, oh, wow, it's a movie, right? Now it's like, movie. This is more interesting. It boggles my mind down bowels. It just does.
Well, I think that what happened was students unlearned how to be a student, and now what's happening is the high school students and junior high school students and a whole generation who had done the same unlearning are moving into the college. And I thought, how long is it going to be until this absolutely works itself through? And because once we went back, you really couldn't have the same expectations. You would because during COVID, another thing that happened. I mean, totally understandably, we had to go very gently with the students. You know, we were all living through trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Their family was getting sick and dying. Everybody was going insane due to the isol. I mean, all sorts of horrible things were going on.
I'm sorry. Yes and no. I mean, I was insane long before COVID.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, there you go. So to blame everything on COVID. No, I was nuts. Coming out of the womb, for God's sakes. And my mama, God bless her, but she tried to stuff me back in for more. Just, you know. Let's get off that topic. Let's move back to other creative and
Right. Yeah.
happy thoughts. So by the age of 13-ish, you were doing the professional theater in the summer. But what was the first live theatrical experience that you remember seeing as a child that made a mark on you? Maybe you were 10 or 8 or whatever.
Well, I think Um, I mean, I saw great things like the original production of Fiddler on the Roof and stuff out of that generation. But what really made a mark was productions by the APA Phoenix Theater Company. I don't know if you remember them. That was a truly great American repertory company in New York, which never got enough credit. In productions directed by one Ellis Rabb. This is the true tragedy of theater is that people like that are totally forgotten today. It was a huge company, and they would do great plays like You Can't Take It With You. They did an adaptation of War and Peace. I think that was really what did it for me. And with like Rosemary Harris, I mean, and every single actor was a distinguished actor, truly fine actor, and every aspect of it was so artistically handled and beautiful, and that's what really convinced me. But another one was there was a certain Eugenie Leontovich. She was some transplant from Russia, and she did an adaptation of Anna Karenina called Anna K off Broadway with, I believe, 6 actors. I went back 3 times to see it, and it was like there was no set, there was nothing on stage except these 6 actors. Amazing, amazing work, and a lot of these things made.
At the very end, it was a little silly when 4 of the actors put their hands on each other's shoulders and went woo woo chugga 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 and ran over the 5th.
You saw it. You saw it. Well, she made it work through magic, and that was the thing. It really was literally something like that. But it had everybody crying. Another one was In White America, by Martin Duberman with 4 actors. It was all about the racial inequality in America, and the great Gloria Foster did a monologue not based on, but in the words of the first black girl who attended the University of Mississippi in her first day. You could have wiped me up off the floor. I couldn't, I was walking out of the theater still crying. And things like that, were absolutely persuasive,
Can I ask you, what was the first show that you went to see with your wife Peggy, who's standing there with some kind of beverage or something? You don't remember?
What was the first show we saw together? I don't think we're going to remember.
Well, I came to a show with Carol.
No, but we went to see together. I mean, we actually saw each other, or I saw her in a theater. It was some enchanted evening. We were in the audience at City College, and that's how it began. But I think it was a really bad play by one of my colleagues.
We don't. We don't have to name.
No, I think they're actually in the play as one of the enemies who died and comes back in the video.
Wait, I had another question in my. What does Peggy do, by the way? What is she?
She's a mathematician.
You're kidding. So she does the taxes, you do the housework. It works. It's perfect. It's amazing. Is she still teaching? I mean,
she retired 6 months before me, but
also at CCNY, right? Because you were both.
No, at BMCC, same system, different college.
So, oh my God, well, Mazel. How long have you been married, if you don't mind my asking?
28 years, something like that.
26 years.
26 years.
See, the mathematician would know the exact number. That's how this works.
She can add 2 plus 26.
Now, can I ask you? You mentioned in an interview somewhere that when you start writing a play or thinking about writing a play, you immerse yourself in a particular genre. You read a lot of the classics of that era. Is that generally true of how you work, your mode?
Well, I immerse myself in something, and it depends on what it is. When I did the Isaac Bashevis Singer one, because that was based on his great epic novel, The Manor. So absolutely, I did all the research possible about Poland, for Jews at that time, for everybody at that time, and the history of it, and everything cultural. At the time. But this play now isn't historical. It's really, it's, turning my guts out onto the stage, basically. And so the research is, but who would I immersed myself in the characters, especially the character that is not me, who is Trudy, who is based on a family friend, and so I knew her so well that I can write in her voice. And it's really uncanny because she's like a person, as she says in the play, she says, I shouldn't be on stage. I shouldn't be a character or an actor. I'm not interesting enough, she says. And as she says, I'm not interesting enough, she's so interesting.
I love it. Let me ask you though, that the show that you're doing, Bring Them Back, is going to be at Theater for the New City from May 9th to May 19th, and Theater for the New City is over on First Avenue, 155 First Avenue. So what is it, like 10th Street?
It's between 9th and 10th Street, on the east side of the avenue. It's a multiplex theater complex. It's an incredible institution of New York that doesn't get its due. It's always 4 plays running there at any given time.
Oh, I like 4 plays. Oh, 4 plays. Sorry.
Well, in the other theaters, there's the 4 play. Our play is the play.
But you must have a relationship, not like your Peggy relationship with Crystal Field, because you've had a lot of plays there. Do you feel like you have a home there? Did you establish that? Like, if I have a play, I might probably get it done at TNC.
Well, the thing is that not only do I have a relationship, I honor Crystal Field as one of the great innovators of the theater and one of the great visionaries of the theater, who really sees theater as part of the community in which it is, which is Greater New York, but specifically the East Village, but who really has a social conscience, and who, everything that started, recently with diversity and everything, she was doing 30 years ahead. And she has all these ancillary things like street theater for the masses, and a Lower East Side Festival for the Arts, which is coming up, and all these things. But she's an amazing, strong person who will not stop maintaining that theater and its vision and its practical side. She's Mother Courage, really incarnate. And one of the great things she does, as opposed to almost every other artistic director and producer in New York, is she keeps her hands off. If she selects an artist, and I started there, a long time ago, and I was working in many different theaters, but she said, okay, this is the play you want to do. I love this play. I respect you, do it. And then it doesn't really matter what I say I want to do, because it's me, and we have that relationship. I can do it, and she's not going to be sitting there saying, cut, those 5 pages, or what you really need is a third character, or anything, she'll just sit there, and if she doesn't like something about it, she'll tell you. But that doesn't stop her from, yeah.
This does pivot to another question, especially when were working in the student situation. Did you ever use dramaturgs, because you're a writer and a director? Did you ever need them for historical shows, or are dramaturgs just the kind of people who come in and this doesn't work and cut these 5 pages?
Absolutely, absolutely, I do. I actually gave this play to 3 different dramaturgs, and they said, "I don't know what to tell you. You just keep writing. Just keep writing. This is, I, I'm sorry, to put it like this, but I'm usually unconfident 2 weeks out from a show. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Can I really invite people to see this? For this show, from the very beginning, I felt I love it. I just love it. It's just a wonderful show. What can I say? And the dramaturgs really was kind of speechless and said, just keep writing, just go further, just take it to the limit. And but I usually will bring somebody in because I don't trust my own, you're too close to it. And what does it need? And I know it's 3 times too long or whatever. And so tell me what to cut, or whatever, what needs developing. Absolutely, I use dramaturgs, but in this particular case, they had very little to do.
And let me ask, do you read reviews, or only after the show's over, or you never?
Oh, I say I will not read them, and then, well, here's what I do. If I ask someone else to vet them, and I say, "Is this a good review?" Well, it's mixed. I said, "Okay, I'll read it." If it's no, 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 don't read it. I won't read it. I don't want to know.
But do you want to know, like, after opening night, or 3 weeks later after the showcase is over? And
Well, if they tell me it's a good review, then I'll read it immediately, just to give myself a little more oomph and steam. But if they say no, 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 this is a pan, then no, I won't do it.
I think that the thing is, it's hard to find reviews now of off Broadway shows.
That's the problem. I mean, I told you about how I felt, and you said too, for you, education changed, but the theater, I used to regularly get reviewed in the Times, with the Village Voice when it was the Village Voice, everything. And then in the old days, there were other wonderful smaller papers, that regularly sent out reviewers. Today, it's
But even the website, I mean, I remember there used to be Uber, and there used to be all these, and now it's kind of hard to, OBR, or not Uber, the driving thing. But now you can't even, if you wanted to find a review, good or bad, of some of the things that are opening that aren't at least at a certain, like, 150 seat level, good luck. It's really kind of like, which helps the playwright, because then all you see are the press releases online, and there's no bad reviews, but there's no anything.
Well, I want to write a book about how off Broadway got destroyed, and I think for me it's an existential question. I wrote that play, Existence. This is part of the existence question. Do I conform, because basically the whole infrastructure of off Broadway has gone up in smoke. I mean, the real estate, the reviews, especially, the whole idea of critics that, who regularly come and support it and cultivate it. And so under those circumstances, do you keep going? And so with each show, it's that kind of question. Do I? And every time, if I've got an idea for a show, I've decided I can't keep this inside. I've got to develop it. I've got to see it through. Reviews, no reviews, doing it in a closet, whatever, move ahead. And so, but I do wonder, how the world became this way in New York, of all places, because in pretty much any other place in America, that wouldn't happen. I mean, there'd be a sense of, hey, San Francisco has a theater, let's all get interested in it. Let's support it. Let's, small, large, whatever. It's San Francisco, and so it's bizarre.
Well, Chicago has some of that, but
yeah.
But a lot of places never had an off-Broadway to begin with, so that you can't really make the, if New York had 70 off theaters all over the place, not all of them are going to survive, not all of them are going to be good. You can understand how it's going to get winnowed down, but now even the known ones are kind
Are
of.
having trouble. And I do think a lot aren't, do you hear that? A lot are shutting down. I mean, it's a winnowing's it's happening. But you know, in the old days when I started, you know, there were like 400 off Broadway theaters, you know, running at any time. Sure.
Oh my God.
Lots and lots and lots. You know, they're the ones you read about. You know, there's three or four that get into the history books, but there were so many when I was like a young actor starting out. I mean, it was like they're in storefronts everywhere they were, and it was a healthy thing. And it was, you know, New York in the '70s was sort of dying, but culturally it's never been so alive. And
Now Disney owns everything and everything's dying. So, but what stopped dying, at least for 2.5 for 2 or 3 weeks, at Theater for the New City, which is still well alive, and so is the woman who runs it, Crystal Field, and so is our guest in the neighborhood, David Willinger, because his play is alive and well, even though it's about dead people. It's Bring Them Back, running May 9th through May 19th at Theater for the New City over on 155 First Avenue between 9th and 10th Streets in New York. For tickets, you can call 212-254-1109. Uh-oh. Yeah, 254-1109. They're citing tnc.org or whatever the hell their website is. You can get things there, or Ovation.
.net.
Oh, tnc.net.
No, theater for the new city.net.
Theater, and how do you spell theater?
E-R.
It's like a whole fucking mess. Theater, E-R. Theater for the new city.net, N-E-T. Get your tickets. Now, I have one last question for the wonderful David Willinger. So here's the question. It's like, you obviously proved right from the very beginning that you are serious Jewish. You got more serious Jewish, like, in later life, in adult life, rather than
I was born into an atheist family. We never did any. We didn't even have seders. We did nothing. I didn't go to Hebrew school. Nothing. I wasn't bar mitzvahed. Zero. But I've always been. I've always had a mystical bent, I must say, and I dabble, let's say, in Buddhism, in something no one knows about, fourth way teachings, in Gurdjieff, and yoga, lots of yoga, and Rudolf Steiner, sort of everything. I've always had a connection with the beyond that I believe is real. And
I believe it is real. That I do. Yeah.
And then 8 years ago, through a series of events, I don't know how much time we have left, I stumbled into a temple that's around the corner from me called Romamu. And
Ramamu? What?
Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu. And after 30 seconds, I knew that was where I belonged.
What was special? What made you have that feeling that we wish we all had?
Well, one of the rabbis at the time, Rabbi Jessica Meyer, she's no longer in Romamu, but she would always speak about the divine presence, and I guess that's Shekhinah. And I walked in, and you could cut it with a knife. The divine presence was so strong with the singing and the commitment. It was like the place was rocking with spirit. And just for me, what was important, among many things, was that there was a male rabbi, a female rabbi, plus a female chazan, and that there were people of color, there were Black people and Hispanic people sitting there, and I mean, you wouldn't believe this, it's not true anymore, but there was actually within the congregation, a Christian congregation. One of the wives of one of the members was a Protestant minister, and so since there were so many mixed marriages, she was ministering to those people. So those members of those couples, and it was my kind of shul.
Yeah, not my kind. I think that push. If you have someone talking about Jesus Christ in the middle of Shacharis, I have a bit of a problem.
Well, no one was talking about it, but it was just like people like that were not excluded. They were welcome. They were part of it, and it was and is. I mean, so many things about it I think are highly traditional. I mean, almost the whole service is like 3 hour service on Saturdays. You're keeping me from. I don't know what you're going to do with your soul after this, but but
If it's a
it
3 hour service, it's still going on until 1 o'clock,
still
and
going.
then you have to gefilte fish. So you're fine.
But it's you know, it's all in Hebrew, and you know, so I you
So it's
know,
almost conservadox. Is it?
well, it's called Neo Hasidic, and so to me, it was the right. It's the right formula. It's all those things so authentic, so you know, just like has been done for centuries, but with great music, and but not going through the motions. No one's going through the motions there. It's all somehow
No,
deeply
I'm sorry.
experienced.
If the service is 3 hours long, at some point, everybody's going through the motions. At some point, by the fifth time you do the Amida, it is like, all right, let's just get through this.
Well, I mean, this is, you know, I mean, I came to it so late to Judaism that I personally am making up for lost time at every service, and frankly, so to me, it's a powerful emotional experience to, you know, have this, you know, gift at, you know, at this end of my life, and because I mean, before that, I thought, you know, nothing spiritual could ever possibly happen in a synagogue. I hope I'm not offending anybody.
My
But
show, we passed the collection plate around 4 times during the service just so we can keep the lights on. Nothing spiritual about that. I'm just trying to make a living, goddammit.
listen, light is important.
It absolutely is. It's
Or Hadash, or Hadash.
Well, you have brought light and spirit and joy to us this Shabbos morning here in the neighborhood on Dave's Gone By. I want to thank so much David Willinger and remind people one more time, not just to join him at Temple Romemu and learn about Easter there, perhaps, or, you know, don't even fucking know what they're doing in that shul, but more importantly, go see Bring Them Back at Theater for the New City. It starts still a week or so away. It starts on May 9th, but it runs to May 19th at TNC over on First Avenue. Get your tickets, 254-1109, area code 212, or theater for the new city.net. That's where you say shalom to Peggy for me. She's walking back and forth behind you there. And bless you and best of luck with the show and every new show you do after that. Please keep in touch and please come back with us any Shabbos. We love you.
Bless you, Rabbi. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Shalom to you.
Shalom. Wonderful experience with you.